Hey, hi, excuse me. Ooh. Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today it's Sunday Comics. We're going to be checking out X-Men. What is the number here? 117. And of course, I got to sneeze now that I turned on the camera. Oh God! But as usual, I will filibuster a bit get before we get into the comic. Uh, just forgive me 1 second. I'm gonna turn off my camera while I blow my nose. Uh, okay, there we go. How's everybody doing? How's your Sunday? It's a snowy, lazy Sunday over here. Yesterday, we were we weren't snowed in. We could have left if we wanted to. Why leave? We had plenty of leftovers. We had no reason to leave the house, so my wife and I just stayed home. And I wanted to write scripts all day long, but I ended up just reading comics all day long, which was just as good. I got this big teetering pile of comics. So yesterday, I literally spent every free moment reading comics from waking to bedtime. It was great. I haven't done that in a long time. I always just read one or two a day. But yesterday I must have read like 20, 25 comics. It was great. It was great. So speaking of comics, we got Dave Brink. Hey, Dave, do you have any Speedster characters? Andrew from who created Blue Shift, and Von Coleman, who created Galvanite, and then my Go-Getter. We were thinking of doing like a little Speedster poster promo. If you have a Speedster character and you want to be included, let us know. We're just splitting all the costs by everybody. So instead of splitting it by thirds, we could split it by fourths and make like a little print or something to the tune of Indie Comics Fast Fulfillment, with all our speedy characters. If you want in, hit me up. This, of course, is Heroic Tales 2. This is the link to it. You can get it right now. I might as well take a minute because I'm terrible at promoting myself. But this here is the only copy in existence, besides the one I'm keeping, of Heroic Tales 1 autographed by everybody. So you can see there's mine, there's Fabrizio, there's Ramos Sicki, Renzo, Daniel De La Silva, Matt Barr, and there's a Brian Bauer in there someplace. Bill Williams. Where's Brian Bauer? Oh, Brian Bauer's right over here. So everybody involved in the comic. It's the only one in existence. Doing a silent auction. So if you want in, DM me on Twitter or at heroicmails@yahoo.com. The opening bid was $100. I'll say that we exceeded that by a bit. That's all I'm saying, so you don't waste your time. And I'll close it on New Year's, so it'll end on New Year's. So if anybody's interested, it's a silent auction, so I'm not going to tell you what it's up to, and I'm not going to tell you who's winning until it's over. But I'm not out to rook anybody. It cost me $100 to send it around in all the shipping. So there you go. All right. I'll promoting myself. Also, Heroic Tales 2, you can still get. Today, I want to work on scripts and start my campaign for a merchandise campaign. It'll be like my eternally open store. So we'll do that. And we got Ben Sabar, voice actor. How you doing, Ben? Good to see you, man. It's nice to see people coming in all the time. It's very comforting. And speaking of comforting, I got my blessing and I got your email. Your comic will be going out in the mail tomorrow. Packing them up. For those of you who wonder what I shipped him the wrong cover, so I'm shipping him the correct cover. And I got to say, this is now a week since the last stuff went out, and I got 2 returns because of so far, which is pretty good because last year I got a lot of returns. But one of them was because the girl moved and didn't leave a forwarding address. That's not my problem. And another one, apparently the news said it went to his apartment building, and apparently they have like an oversized box for stuff that doesn't fit in your mailbox, and it sat there. And then they returned it. So both of them were not my fault. So let me ask, if anybody watching this who runs campaigns, What do you do if for you know if it's not my fault? You know what I mean? Like if I put the wrong address or the wrong cover, that's on me, and I got no problems admitting that. I'm a flawed human being. But what do you do if it's the correct address? That they moved or they just didn't check their mailbox and it got returned. I sent them an email, but I'm of the opinion they got to repay for postage. I'm sorry, but I didn't do anything wrong. You buy now? How you doing? Yeah, we are front runner, Hellraiser and Brisk. Okay, if you DM me if you want the details. A speedster poster would be cool looking. Yeah, NDA Andrew, who creator of Blue Shift for Rippaverse, he just said, because I put a picture of my go-getter, and he was like, "Oh, we should do a poster of all the speedsters." He just wants to see his speedster next to everybody's speedster character. So I was just like, "Well, why?" And then he suggested Galvanite by Von Coleman, who's also a speedster and a lightning guy. So I was just like, yeah, but none of us could draw, none of us are colorists, so we're gonna have to pay to do. So what would be the expense? So we were thinking of like fun little things to do. So I was thinking, like, put it out there, and if you take a picture of all of our comics, like if there's 3 or 4 of us, then you'll get that. We'll mail it to you or something like that, or maybe something to give away at cons or an add-on. I don't know. We're still brainstorming. Yeah, Dave Brink. Let me ask you to use for my comic. I shipped out a bunch of orders, and then I closed down for the day, and it didn't save that I fulfilled that day's work. So then I went back and I redid that entire day. So I did about 10 orders before I realized these look familiar. So about 10 people got extra copies. What am I going to do? Give them away, Next time you go to a convention, throw it on your table. I'm the pro. How you doing? Good morning. Good to see you. Lunch was cool. How you doing? Good morning. How's everybody? Don't forget to read your Bibles. It was right here. But believe it or not, I'm reading a Bible for a story. It's going to be. I decided I wanted to do Christmas stories. So today I want to finish up the King Fu Christmas special. It's called Blue Christmas, and I would like to have it written, drawn, colored, and everything, and in your hands by Christmas. Next week starts the new year, so Christmas 2026, and then I'd like to do that every year, like a half-sized book. I can't do a 40-page book that fast, and I already got 3 years worth of Christmas stories plotted out. So this first one will be King Fu. The second one's going to be the Magi, and then the third one is going to be the Patriarch meets Santa Claus. How you doing? So to answer your question, yes, I've been rereading the Matthew story of the 3 wise men. All you can do is message them and resend. I never ask customers to pay shipping. I might if books keep coming back, but it never really happened past the second time. Yeah, I know, but every bit hurts. You know what I mean? All right. So we're all caught up. We got a bunch of people watching. Let's all have some coffee. That's got some good stuff. All right, so let's get into this. This is X-Men 117. Now I keep talking about the first X-Men comic that I bought was 114. With the Jean and Hank pushing Xavier down the hallway, then the ghosts of the rest of the X-Men. That was the first X-Men I bought. It's not the first X-Men that I saw, but I was obsessed with this. I was obsessed with the the X-Men because they were so hard to find and they had such cool, unique names. Cyclops, Storm, Wolverine, Colossus, Banshee. These were awesome superhero names. Great costume designs. And for whatever reason, they were impossible to find by me as a kid. Remember, this was 1978. The X-Men were almost canceled. Then they were bi-monthly, and they only went monthly around 108. So they weren't that popular yet. They weren't the juggernaut that we know. Like tonight, like I think X-Men and X-Men side characters keeps Marvel afloat. But back then, X-Men was a drop in the bucket. So it was hard to find. So I got one, and then by the time I regularly, like 119, so I bought one, I forget if it was 14 or 15, the one I was just talking about with Beast and Phoenix pushing Professor X in the hallway. The next X-Men I bought was 119 with Moses Magnum, and then from that point on, I never missed an issue. I never missed an issue for 20 years. And then I went back and bought all the extra other issues. Some of them I found in comic book stores, just happened to be there. Some of them I went to, newsstands, and some of them I went to comic book stores. So this one I didn't get till a couple of years later, at the Incredible Pulp, the comic book store near me. So there's all the backstory of how I got this issue. And I'll check the comments, and then from this point forward, we'll go back and forth. Yes, it does hurt financially, but customer. Yeah, I know. Well, I emailed both of them. And one of them I know is never gonna. For those of you who are in the circle of craziness that is Comicsgate, it was the girl who broke up with her boyfriend and took off. I don't think that person wants anybody to know where that person is living right now. There's crimes being committed. So I don't know. The other person is a guy I know personally. He was the security guard at my old job. So I emailed him. I mean, I'll go put it in his hand if he responds to me. But I'm really impressed that no Canadians cross my heart. I clap. Cross my fingers. No Canadian orders have come back yet. And it looks like they're getting. I was on a stream Friday night, and 3 Canadians held up their comics, so that's really good. So, Dave, you got your comics on another continent before Canadians got their comics. It's Canada's messed up. Dave said, "Oh, and by the way, Dave, this says Genuine Comics, but I call him Dave because Dave is the guy behind Genuine Comics. Genuine Comics is the best superhero comic books out there. If anybody's watching this now or in the future, go check out Genuine Comics. He's on Fund My Comic right now. He's got Perfect 10. He's got Safeguard. He's got so many good comics. Better yet, go to the Genuine Comics website and check out his comics. So good. My highest recommendation. Oh, Marcus, my dad broke his hip the day after Christmas. I'll be on the phone. I'll catch the replay. I'm sorry to hear that. This has been a bad news Christmas. Tony Grigo's dog got hit by a car, a big, beautiful German Shepherd. And Marcus Kellegrew's dad broke his hip. Oh, no. I'll tell my wife. She's a better prayer than I am. So is Xavier finally telepathically detecting the rest of the X-Men and realizing they're all alive? We'll see, but that is, Xavier could detect all of the X-Men in the world except when the plot dictates that he shouldn't. That is what I'm talking about. I talked a lot about that last issue. That when I write a story, and please, I'm criticizing Chris Claremont right here, and I'll ask Dave, since Dave is the only other comic book writer that is in the chat right now. When I write a story, I come up with the plot, I come up with the basic idea, and then when I write the story, I kind of just keep that plot in the back of my head, but I have the characters react the way that I think that they should, in because of their powers, personality, and whatever. So sometimes the plot goes way different. Now, like the X-Men all of a sudden get captured because that's what the plot requires. And you could just tell when that happens and it makes no sense. They use their powers wrong because that's what the plot needs. This is a perfect example. Xavier can detect all the X-Men all over the world, except when Claremont decides that that would just ruin his year's worth of planning. So be careful about that when you're making comics. That is one way to end a year. Absolutely. Yeah. Everybody. Yeah. Breaking your hip. Yeah. I inspire you. I I come from a long line of Irish Catholic Italians that we just don't take compliments well. I don't know how to react. So thank you. I'll just take it in the spirit that it's offered. But I also got to ask, in what way? You know, my laziness. Whew, always a victory when Canadians get their mail. Yes, yes, yes. And I like, yeah, this is great. Great community. Everybody's looking out for each other. Okay. And Dave came in I was just about to go back right under the wire. I like that. Haha, often the characters mess up the plot as they have the abilities for it. Just lean into it. Otherwise, the plot feels forced and a lot. Yes, yes, yes. When you have superheroes, especially telepathy, mind control, all of these cosmic, like Spidey sense. Spidey sense works when the writer needs it to work. But it, you know what I mean? Like, shouldn't Spider-Man senses detect all the time? Like, you got to address, like, in my role, here I am talking about my role playing again. In my role playing game again, like, danger sense is what it would do. It would give you a base percentage to detect danger, say 30%. And then, you know, that doesn't tell you. So a lot of the times, like, the character would be like, I use my danger sense. And then I roll behind the screen. So they don't know what I rolled. And I tell them, there's no danger. They go, oh, I only had a 30% chance. So that doesn't really give me enough information. So they'll spend more time. You know, they'll do it 2 or 3 times. And they're like, okay, you know, but that takes up time. That they're, you know what I mean? But that makes sense because it's the player doing that. So now Spider-Man sense, is it infallible? Or does he only have a 30% chance? Of, you know what I mean? So you got to convey that to the reader who doesn't know the rules. Like, I'm a stickler for this. I'll show this over and over and over again. But this is my card for the Patriarch. See, this was bent, so this one doesn't go out. This is the one that I use. So that's the nice art by, this is colored by Daniel and drawn by Renzo. And on the back is his character sheet. So I don't have enough room to show all the stats, but his powers, flight, telekinesis, teleconsciousness. I have all the numbers on his real sheet that I have a big piece of loose leaf. I have the actual numbers. So his senses aren't infallible. His telekinesis can't lift 6,000 billion tons. I have exact specific numbers, and I keep that in mind when I'm writing the comic. Now, Spider-Man, that's a different story. That's a corporate comic that's been around for, geez, how many decades? I got to turn this off and turn it on again so it focuses. But, like, is there a consistent number? Like, do the editorial staff say that, like, Spider-Man's danger senses are 45% accurate or 100% accurate? And if not, every once in a while, Spider-Man should be, like, explaining that to the reader, that his senses aren't infallible. Sometimes danger gets bypassed. Sometimes he's distracted or whatever. So now Xavier, getting back to the point of this, if he's in telepathic communication, why doesn't he know that the X-Men are alive? Is he saddened? Did he just, you know, like, you don't think Xavier, like when Jean Grey tells him that they died, you don't think Xavier would be like, hold on, let me confirm this and do like a big old something? Is there something about the Savage Land that blocks transmissions? You know, that needs to be addressed. Otherwise, it's plot. It's plot driven inconsistencies of the powers. So yes. I like how they gave Venom the ability to cancel Spider-Man's danger and makes him far more. Yes, there's a couple of villains that could do that. I know Mysterio made Spider Sense jammers. That's what those eyes were over here. They sent out signals that confuse Spider-Man. Yeah. Yes. Venom could be extra scaly because after absorbing something, he can slip past the Spidey sense. Extra scary, I guess, is what you meant. Yeah, extra scary. I said scaly. Yeah. Okay, so let's now look at the comic. So this cover is Dave. I'll pull the camera back a little bit so we can see more. Extra scaly. He said extra. So this is, as you can see, Dave Cockrum, Terry Austin. And I didn't notice this, like I said, until I was an adult, really until I started doing the series, just how similar the Dave Cockrum, John Byrne, Neil Adams were. I started with John Byrne, so that was my foundation. All right, let's open up the book. And let me get more light. Let me get more light over here. All right, so let's turn this up. I don't care if my face is bright. The important thing is the art. All right, so now we got Psy-War. I talked about this so many times, I'm not even going to bring it up again. But we got a nice splash page. Again, a splash page is when there's only one panel on the page, and it's usually the first panel. And I'll back up a little bit so we can see the credits. So we got Chris Claremont, scripts, co-plots, and pencils. So, and then John Byrne. So they're the first box together, meaning Chris Claremont writes the script and plots. John Byrne plots and does the pencils. Terry Austin inks. Clem Robbins letters. Glynis Wynn colors. Roger Stern editor. Jim Shooter editor-in-chief. Now, this is the A-team. This is the A-team. This is, the best the X-Men are ever going to be. Sorry, Jim Lee fans, Jay Lee fans. Who's the other one that everybody likes? Mark Silvestri fans. I'm not saying those are bad. I'm saying this is it. But then again, I'm an old fart. All right, so let's check this out. Look at this panel. So I don't know if you can see, we got Cyclops down here. We got Banshee down here. And they're all in their costumes. Colossus. Now, okay. I was going to Wolverine, Nightcrawler, and of course Storm. So what's going on? They're all in a boat that they made in the Savage Land, and they went through an ice tunnel out of the warmth and heat and stability of the Savage Land environment into the harsh storm land of the South Antarctic Sea. Is that? Yeah, it's the Antarctic Sea. Into a storm. Now, just glorious. I was gonna say, why is Colossus in armor? It's just gonna make, but he's got this big old thing, so I guess he's the power steerer of and we got Cyclops over here holding the rudder. And we got Nightcrawler. That's just been a running joke. We got Nightcrawler being useless. Okay. Oh, Omnipro. East. You inspire me because you're passionate. You never give up in a dream. It's a dreams we all had. Oh, thank you. That, like I said, I don't take compliments well. But thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm stubborn. Let's go to the next page. All right. Let's get this camera going. I don't want the white of the computer, so we'll do that. Every time I move the camera, it goes out of focus. So look at this glorious panel over here. We got them. Well, this storm never end. I feel as if we've been fighting forever. Count your blessings, bubs. This is summer and it's midwinter. It's really rough. Cripes. It was only something we could do. Any bright ideas, Banshee? We'll take whatever we can get. Not one, I'm afraid. Masonic Scream is near useless in this bad a blow. Hey, boss man, Storm controls her other, right? How come she ain't using her powers to calm things down? What do you think I've been doing, Wolverine? So I love this. Storm is countering the storm, and it's still bad. So is this plot powers? I think so. Storm could summon up storms, and now she's trying to dismiss the storm, but it's so bad. All she's doing is tamping it down. Why? They need a storm, right? This is the one thing Storm should be able to do is calm a storm, right? And now so I ain't buying it, but I fear I passed them long ago. But even my powers have something near the horizon. So Storm is tired. I'm calling Deus Ex Machina on not the opposite of Deus. It's this. We need a Storm for the plot. So Storm's powers ain't working. Why? Chris Claremont does that. So right out of the gate, I'm calling poop on this. The one thing Storm could do, she can't do because we need a Storm. So now they find a ship. These guys, they're Japanese. May I remind you of the mission, Captain? No orders will make me violate the law of the sea. Takada, bring them aboard. So we got 3 panels. We got a ship. It's Japanese. And the second in command says, we have security on board. And the captain says, screw the security. I'm a sea captain. The law of the sea demands we take in, survivors on a boat. So they do. So a little bit of plot, a little bit of meat on the bone. So they drop down the raft, and the X-Men are aboard. I think they're Americans in these costumes. They could be S.H.I.E.L.D. or the Avengers. Silence, Takada. So something fishy is going on this boat. This guy's like, these are American S.H.I.E.L.D. or Avenger guys. I'm Captain Hama. Welcome aboard the Jinguchu Maru. Thank you for rescuing us, Captain. I'm Cyclops. We're the X-Men. It's important we contact. I'm sorry, but unauthorized radio communication is forbidden. We are on a government mission of some delicacy. I'm afraid that until we reach Japan, I must insist that you remain our guests. Takada, take them below. So they rescued them, but we have government. There's a whole nother panel down here. There's a government security team, and so by the right away they're near Antarctica, near the Savage Land. What are they doing down here? It's up to no good. So X-Men down below deck. Soda Jerk Classic. It's peril-driven Storm, I guess. It could be anticlimactic if Storm dismissed the bad weather so easily. Yeah, but that's her power. That's her power. Her power is she defeats storms. So, all right, you need the Storm. You need the Storm for drama and tension. So what do? They're carrying an unconscious Storm because she was drained by Sauron or whatever. She gets hurt next issue and she's still recovering. She's flying around, and she's tampering the Storm, but it's still just as bad. So if she's there or not there, it's the same effect on this page. So I would make it just to cross my T's, dot my I's that she was hurt, wounded, or something like that last issue. You know what I mean? Make it so that she's knocked out. Easy to fix, same results, because all of this does is make a guy like me question. The one thing she could do is control weather, and now she can't. She can't control the weather because of reasons. Let's go to the next page. So now we got send in for the Marvel superheroes. I just love this subscription. If you order 5 subscriptions, you get a free subscription to Star Wars. How awesome is that? What a great deal. In 1979, Heralds of the New Year. So this is 1978. This comic came out. Buy the calendars for the next year, and unlike another calendar woman, you'll actually get your calendars that year. So there you go. And now we are, remember now, Chris Claremont is using like the soap opera stories. We're going back. So now they are going below deck. Tensions rise. Just when the tensions rise, boom, you go to another story. This is something I'm trying to work on. I haven't really had the chance to do it because I'm doing 2 stories per comic. There's not enough real estate, and I'm not monthly yet, so I don't want to build up a subplot. And then next thing you know, 6 years later, you'll see the payoff. But Patriarch #1, I did introduce the subplots, and I got to say, I got a letter to Heroic Mails. This is a good time to plug. If you want a letter published in my comics, send it to heroicmails@yahoo.com. That'll be for any comic, whether it's Patriarch or Eddie is Doomed or whatever. Send them to heroicmails@yahoo. I'm not going to make an email address for every comic. That's just too much. I'll lose track. Send it, and then somebody wrote me a letter. I'm not saying who, and they guessed correctly at some subplots that I introduced already in 2 issues. Now, does that mean I'm a good writer or a bad writer? That somebody is figuring out. But so far, only one person guessed. So I'm real happy. Oh, did we learn in this issue that Japanese knows Wolverine? Not yet. Storm can't use her powers out of combat. Storm just can't use her powers. Her powers don't work. You know that, right? Am I harping on it too hard? So look at this. This is my 3D assets right here. This is either he's drawing a house from a map, or he inserted a map and drew over it. But it works, and I like it because it gives the X-Men a consistent a home base, and it makes it a real place as far as I'm concerned. So Jean Grey is like, the taxis better get a move on. Are you sure you will not stay? I can't, Leandra. There are too many memories in this house. So now we got a space alien chick living in the Xavier house. Now keep in mind, now this is X-Men comics. This is civil rights. This is persecution. We haven't heard any of that. We heard in X-Men 94 was the last time that nonsense was brought up. Okay. Or 98, X-Men 98, the Sentinel story. Now we got dinosaurs, escape from the Savage Land. We got a space alien princess living in the house. So this is Empress of the Shi'ar. Jean Grey's leaving. She's much too young to have such desolation in her eyes. I know some of what she feels, although I've known the X-Men for only a short time, and mostly through Charles. Charles, strange that the tricks fate play on us. I have my pick of the finest consorts in the galaxy, yet I lost my heart to Charles Xavier. We are so different, and yet I am so happy. Now, if only I could remember how to prepare this brew that he likes so much. That's right, Charles. Get your alien. You may be some fancy space alien princess over in your galaxy, but over here, make me a sandwich. There we go, Leandra. Go make Charles some coffee. Look at that. She actually puts it on the tray. You're some boss bitch over there in your universe, but in this universe, she's thinking of. I suppose I should be grateful for the small favors Earth's technology may be hopelessly primitive, but at least I can metabolize the local food. I wish that was the least of my problems. Charles has been withdrawing more and more into this since everybody died. Charles is Leandra. I brought you coffee and those bagel things, also cream cheese and some smoked salmon. I snuck a bite of the fish downstairs. It's very good. There you go. That's all they want. That's all they want. All things die, Charles, not always at the time of my manner of choosing, I know, but I never stopped thinking if the X-Men only lived if I never formed the team and let them have their peace. I keep going back to the beginning. So here he is, sitting by the fireplace. His alien princess is serving lunch. And boom. Interlude now. Again, why doesn't Xavier reach out with his mind? Because of plot. So there we go. Soda Jerk. No, I think as a writer, you want to highlight certain tensions, details to the reader to build up an underlying. In my estimation, I'll say good writer. Good. Okay, good writer. Thank you. I think she's being sweet. I know. I'm teasing. Gotta have some fun. And but dang, oh no! See, this is using the advertisements as part of the actual physical experience of reading a comic book. I didn't realize this until I unconsciously realized, but I didn't consciously realize this until I did the Two Beards One Comic series with Kelsey Shannon, who disappeared off the face of the planet. And I missed that guy. I love Kelsey. We had a fun little. We were doing Secret Wars, and then we did Jim Starlin's Warlock. Go look, Two Beards, One Comic, and then we were in the middle of Secret Wars when he disappeared. And he was talking about, because he was going through the trade paperbacks and I was going through the actual issues, and because the ads weren't in, sometimes the reveal was on the wrong page. So, for instance, I have to go back to the beginning. So we're setting up a flashback up over here. Now, if the ads weren't in here, this would be right here, and then the reveal would be right there. You know what I mean? But this old-fashioned floppies is one of the advantages of reading a comic in the floppy, is you get that subtle and planned page break, page flip, part of the tension, drama, and everything like that. You know, Chris Claremont knew there was going to be ads. He paced it that way. So now we got this heightened tension. What's going on? And I will check out the comments before I flip the page. You buy now! I can't help but say that in a stereotypical Chinese voice, you know. God Rider confirmed, even has an Alamore. I know you're joking. Kelsey's the best. He's been gone for 2 years. I know. I even tried calling his house. He doesn't like drama, much like myself. I don't like it either, but I'm weak and I fall for it. Sometimes it falls for me. Like, case in point, Christmas Eve. I saw Warlock Magazine on Twitter. And I know Warlock Magazine is a kiss ass for Comicsgate. I know that. I'm not stupid. But it said pages 1 to 6. They're talking about Billy Tucci. Pages 7 to 8. We're talking. So I was like, oh, is this a physical magazine? I didn't know. So I said, I want to see what this magazine looks like. I want to get a copy of a physical magazine. See, I know it's a hug box for Comicsgate. I know that. But so where can I get it? That's all I asked. Next thing you know, Shane Davis is doing a 4-hour Christmas Eve trash cast about me because I asked where can I buy a magazine, and then Christmas Day, they're calling me Jewish, and a 5-hour trash cast with both Droop Dog and Fat Jabba the Hutt, 5 hours talking about me because I asked where a magazine was. So I honestly didn't try to get into the drama. I love the Fun Factory. I got the Ghost and X-ray glasses. Nice. You got the Ghost? Oh, the Ghost isn't on this page. Okay. The X-ray glasses are right here. Yeah, the big Ghost. It was just like a balloon with like a plastic bag wrapped around it. Great Caesar's Ghost. Haha, Sean is abusive. He gets it from his dad, I guess. Well, he never met his dad. That's why he behaves the way he does. Same with DVS. All right. Let's turn the page. So now we are going to a flashback. See, now this is how it was designed, planned, and executed. If you get this in the trade paperback, you might get this page adjacent to that, which isn't that bad, but you know, it was planned to be like a page turning example. So we have a flashback. We are now into the mind of Charles Xavier. I was working towards my doctorate when I met Meyer McTaggart. I was in love at first sight for both of us. The years that followed were the happiest of my life. We talked about marriage. As his girlfriend is right there, you know, I was the happiest I've ever been. Thanks for the coffee. But I was so happy with Mara. It was the best. Oh yeah, the salmon's really good too. Thank you. And we planned on marriage and building a life together. And can I get more cream cheese? Yeah. I was in the hospital recovering from battlefield wounds when I got her letter. She was breaking her engagement, returning to Scotland. She wouldn't say why, and she asked me not to follow her. I always liked Myra McTaggart. I don't know. I'm a sucker for the Irish girls. You know. When I went a little crazy, then I became a nomad, bumming around the Mediterranean. Eventually, I came to the Isle of Carinos. The people that needed my help, in return, they gave me the care and love I needed to burn the psychic poison out of my system. So, in time, more and more, a whole man than I've been in ages. I left Carinos and moved on to Cairo. So here he moves to Cairo. There was no particular rhyme or reason to my actions. I was young and I had money, and I had no real desire to return to the United States with my research into genetic mutation. So, to sum up this, what's going on? I like this. This is a nice little human story of a character that I don't like Charles Xavier. Never did. I always found him to be creepy, manipulative, and morally gray. And so he's in college. He meets Myra McTaggart. They fall in love. They whatever. They have this whirlwind war romance. He gets drafted, goes to war. And while he's at war, she breaks it off. Later, we realize that she meets the father of Proteus. She gets herself a little pregnant, and I guess she doesn't want to tell Xavier that she's been unfaithful, which begs the question: does Xavier have the mental powers at this point? Did they develop later? Was she keeping it a secret from Myra? Is that why she stayed far away from him and sent him a letter, because she didn't want him to read his mind? That's all good stuff that we could, find out later. So he breaks his heart is now broken, and he's, after the war, he's wounded. He's mentally wounded. He's emotionally wounded. He's physically wounded. He's got money, so he goes around, traveling, and here he is, There were still too many pieces in my life I began to sort out before I had no idea as I strolled through the city's main bazaar that I was being closely watched. I wasn't expecting trouble, and I had let my psychic guard slip a little. And before I knew anything was amiss, I felt featherweight fingers reaching into my wallet, and I heard a bubbling telepathic laugh. So he has telepathic powers at this point. Now, here I am criticizing Chris Claremont, but rather than saying I let my telepathic guard down, I would have said there were so many thoughts. I'm in a bazaar in so many different languages that I didn't pick up this particular thought. And we get the pickpocket was a very young, so we got Young Storm looking like a creepy kid. This has been a fault of all comic book artists, is that they can't draw children. They draw muscular adults, that they can't draw children. But I like this. We get to see a little bit of Storm. Oh, wow. A lot of comments. Okay. Soda Jerk Classic. My favorite X-Men is Rachel Summers, the Phoenix of the Future. During the Secret Wars sequel, Rachel took on the Beyonder. I got an issue of this, and apparently, yes, it's ridiculous, and I loved it. That's great. That comic books are supposed to be ridiculous, and you're supposed to love them. So that's awesome. Over-the-top ridiculousness. You buy now. Remember the time Shane was drunk and told everyone that he threw one of his sex toys at his mother-in-law? I don't remember that, and I'm glad I don't remember that. Hey, good morning, bud. Good morning, Oscar. I emailed, I DM'd you. I don't know if you saw it or not. What is going on? Okay. My phone is making weird noises because as I hit the table, it charges, then it's not charging, and it's charging because you can't tell, but I always shake my legs. I'm big chubby flailing my chubby thighs, and it was buzzing and driving me crazy. I think that's what every time I see people keep messaging me, I think that's what it is. I think I finally figured out. I got to put my phone someplace else so that I don't keep doing that. But it's distracting. Anyway, Oscar, for those of you who don't know, he's my main colorist. Oh my God, you got to see the coloring that he did on a giant size Punchline #1. It's some of the best. Not just good coloring for Oscar. It's some of the best coloring I've ever seen. It is so good, so happy. And so Oscar, I was talking with Tonic Bowl last night. He said he's busy on Eddie is Doomed, and he'll be done soon. He's going to send me a bunch of pages real soon. So there we go. Best news, Eddie is Doomed. And Oscar will be drawing half of Eddie is Doomed and coloring all of Eddie is Doomed. And then Tonic Bowl will be drawing half of Eddie is Doomed and not coloring any of it. Yeah, Xavier's so tactless. Yeah. Yeah, balloon with the white plastic bag over it. Even at 11, I was very disappointed. That was the giant ghost. That was the giant 7-foot tall ghost. A balloon and a plastic bag. I keep joking that I want to make a comic book of a superhero kid who buys all of the stuff and it was real. So he gets a real ghost. He gets real X-ray glasses. I think that would be a fun. Hey, Oscar, would you be interested in that story to draw? Don't bring up another woman unless you're going to say how the present lady is better. Absolutely. Just another one of the reasons why I think Charles Xavier is a goof. I think it was a fleshlight. They add their own identity. I know. Where am I? I want to get that off the screen as fast as possible. She's Scottish. Yes. Is she Scottish? Did I say Irish? I just love that Scottish Irish accent. I know that if you're over there and you mix up the Scots and the Irish, them's fighting words. But I'm over here, far away from there, and but I love them both. I can listen to a Scot talk. I can listen to an Irishman talk. I just love that. I love that. What they call it a brogue, not an accent. Xavier went bald through use of his mental powers. Okay, that's right. I vaguely remember that. Oscar, yeah. I can't take a compliment, but I love giving compliments. Just like One Punch Man. He's mental One Punch. Oh, we got a super chat. Merry Christmas, John. I'm typing this in Lancaster Square, UK. Great issue. Byrne and Claremont were peak X-Men. It fell after Byrne left. We are in agreement. Thank you. It's funny that I'm like discouraging super chat, but I'm not discouraging it. I can't take a compliment, and I take a super chat as a compliment. I get like, you want to see me squirm? Super chat me. There you go. The more you send, the more uncomfortable you can watch me. I'll turn it to Trump. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas. Wow, that's a big trip from New Zealand to Britain. I got to ask you then. I don't know if you're still watching, but do you notice any differences? I can't help but notice like everything on Twitter about like England's not the same and blah blah blah. All the immigrants and blah blah blah. Is it the same? Since the last time you've been there. Rachel Summers is one of the worst characters ever invented, an angsty walking plot device who alternate between being ridiculously OP and crying in a corner. To each their own. I am of the opinion that I don't like when they just make facsimiles of other characters. There was Jean Grey Phoenix. There was no need to have the Phoenix Force. If your name is Phoenix, you get to resurrect yourself. That's, just like if your name is Salamander guy, you get to regenerate. You know what I mean? Like if your name is Amoeba Boy, you get to shape change, and have a plasmoid body shape. That's the point of the superhero name. So they did all this work for no reason at all. So there really was no reason for Rachel Summers. So I just disliked her. But if you liked her, that's fine. I'm not, don't begrudge anybody their tastes in superheroes. There's 8 million Green Lanterns, which ticks me off to no end. I mean, let me walk that back a bit. I like the fact that there's Green Lanterns, but there should only be one on any planet at any given time. Why does Earth get 47,000 Green Lanterns, but everywhere else in the universe gets one? Like, I don't care about, I understand John Stewart took over when Hal was wounded. Okay, now either that means Hal is gone for good, and John Stewart takes over for good, or John Stewart gives it up when Hal is back, because maybe Hal Jordan fits the criteria better, and he was the fill-in guy. But I don't like now. There's Jessica, whatever. There's a girl. There's Guy Gardner, and there's Kyle Rayner, and whatever. Who cares? Who cares? And it's not like it's Batman or Daredevil. Green Lantern is like the most powerful superhero. He can give Superman a run for his money. And there's now 1 billion of them. Why is there any crime on Earth? Yeah, I know they're a police force, but they have a history of going against the will of Oa. Why is there evil empires? You got 40 of them on Earth. Just go and annihilate all the threats. I don't like that. You got to think about the status quo of the universe when you come up with stuff. But anyway, got to run. Catch up with you later. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Oh, a lot of projects next year. Yes. A lot of projects next year. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. There's one project that may or may not happen. That's the most frustrating. I prefer a flat out no or a flat out yes. May or may not is driving me crazy. John Byrne is one of my favorite artists, but he drew creepy kids. Everybody did. George, you want to see creepy? Look at George Perez's kids. And sometimes would not draw backgrounds. My favorite artist, George Perez, except when it comes to Batman. I go with Marshall Rogers. Good choices. I do not disagree with anything that you say. When you say John Byrne didn't draw backgrounds, like, look at this page. This works. Why? Because we have this amazing setup. We see this. We see that. And now he saved himself a little bit of time over here. But it works for me. Sometimes you don't need to do a full background. This works completely as far as I'm concerned. Why orange? Shut up! It's orange! Why yellow? Because it's yellow. But it works. Rachel Summers suffered immense trauma. She was a bit dramatic at times for good reason. Yes, that was part of her story, was the unspeakable things that happened to her when you talk about time travel, in the past of the future. And then they made Hope Summers, which was just another, let's spit out 1 billion phoenixes. I just had an idea. Let's explore it together, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Soda Jerk. You just gave me an idea. If I was to write the X-Men, I would have Jean Grey, I would have Rachel, I would have Hope, and the next thing you know, they find Gladys Summers, and then they find Edith Summers, and they find all of these Summers, and then they realize that this is the Phoenix Force. All of the Jean Greys, they somehow merge, and that creates the Phoenix Force. So it is a mutant. It's mutants from different timelines. They should never have been together, but at some point they all could come to this timeline, and a critical mass is ignited, and they boof, and that creates the Phoenix Force. So Phoenix creates itself. It's like poetry, it rhymes. So there you go. What do you think of that? What do you think of that idea? Love her at Excalibur. Well, yeah, I mean, Excalibur, Alan Davis artwork, so good. Rachel probably reminded me of Raven from the Teen Titans. Yeah, there's something about the you were a teenager, they were the angsty teenagers. It was inevitable. We're close to Proteus. Yes, this is like the first hint of Proteus over here. I think there's so many lanterns on Earth because it's a galactic threat magnet. Yes, it's the anthropomorphic principle. You know what I mean? Like, we seeing everything through human eyes, so everything is human focused. Good idea, but what is the Dark Phoenix then? All the dark thoughts combined. The Dark Phoenix is just a natural process of the Phoenix. The legend of the Phoenix is it's an egg, it hatches, Phoenix is a baby, it grows up, It grows up, it bursts into flame, consumes itself, and then from the ashes, another egg is consumed. So Dark Phoenix is just part of the process of the Phoenix in my mind. So now, but it's not God, so it has to start somewhere, right? So all the Phoenixes get together, hit critical mass. The Phoenix Force is formed, and now Jean Grey is born, and she lives her life. She hits critical mass. She becomes Dark Phoenix. It's almost to the point where it's inevitable that she's going to die. You know what I mean? Because and then she's reborn. And to me, that's the trauma, horror of the Phoenix, is that you love her. She's your best friend. She's your lover. She's your girlfriend. She's your wife. But she is going to explode and then start all over again. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. That's like take a reincarnation. When one Phoenix dies, reborn in another. There you go. See? And then, like Barry Allen, who becomes the lightning bolt that creates the Flash, all of these Phoenix Jean Greys, they get together, create the Phoenix Force. There you go. So maybe what they do is they try to keep all of the Jean Greys, all the reincarnations separate in other time zones, so they don't. There's a lot of stuff you could do with that. That's a lot of stuff you could do with that. But let's turn the page. Padoring! Oh, we got toys. We got Star Wars rings. Oh, man, I would love to see what they actually look like. In case you're wondering, I always have a cup of coffee, and then I have a backup soda because I don't want to go and refill my coffee. Oh, my coffee cup still has, I thought it was empty. I don't want to get up and refill my coffee cup. So I always figure a cup, coffee, and a can of soda will get me through each video. Look at all the Star Wars stuff. Do you mind a tangent on Chewbacca? I love Chewbacca. What kid? I was in third grade when Star Wars comes out. So what third grader doesn't love Chewbacca? He's a gigantic dog. He's your best friend. Everybody loves dogs, and he's your best friend. And he's your pilot. You're driving around the space with your best dog friend. That's so freaking cool. And then the first hint that something is wrong is they don't give him a medal in the Star Wars movie, right? Only the humans get medals. And then the next hint that something's wrong is in Han Solo dies. And Rey not only gets the Millennium Falcon, but she gets Chewbacca. And it's then and there that I realized Chewbacca's a slave, right? Han saved his life and enslaved him. It's the only thing that makes sense. Because if he was a free companion, buddies to Han, when Han died, he would have taken off on the Millennium Falcon. This is my ship. Why does Rey, who showed up 18 hours earlier, why does she get it all? Chewbacca's a gentleman. He would have dropped Rey and Poe Dameron and whatever his name is off wherever they needed to go, and then and left. But no, Chewbacca's a slave. Discuss. So the Jerk Classic says that's kind of a take on reincarnation. One Phoenix is reborn in another. Okay, I saw that already. There you go. Let's go to this now. So we got, as we all know, everybody in Egypt wears purple and green clothes. So he gave chase to the thief. I used my mental powers to keep track of her, but that soon harder than I anticipated. There was more to this girl than met the eye. On a deserted side street, I stopped her with a gentle force bolt. Check out this creepy picture. Look at that. Look at that. That is just a walking horror. That is just a walking horror. It wasn't until I saw my new X-Men late that I realized my little pickpocket was Storm. I recognized her latent mutant talent and opened up my mind to probe her. And then without warning, I was smashed to the ground by a psychic bolt. When I recovered, my sense of Storm had vanished. Oh, my head. I'll never encounter such raw power or such malevolence. The sonic nexus was within a nearby saloon. So there we go. So to reiterate this page, Storm, baby Storm, baby creepy Storm, look at that, pickpockets Xavier. Xavier mentally stops her to go get his property back, realizes she's a mutant, probes further, and gets psychically attacked. Something picked up the psychic ability and zeroed in on it, knocked him out. So he goes into this saloon. That's really like, look at this. This is the kind of stuff I didn't pick up on as a kid. Nearby, then we got this girl of, what does this indicate? What does this? This is a brothel. This is a brothel. And then you have a psychic slaver guy over here. So this is a really bad place. This is the kind of stuff that you don't pick up on as a kid. But this is a really bad place. Like, as an adult, I'm getting the skeeves just thinking about this. So there's a psychic guy whose power rivals Xavier, and then there's prostitutes hanging out there. I mean, they don't say it, but they say it. Oh, I'm pointing to it. You can't see it. Like, I'm not saying it, but it's there, right? It's a way to get around the Comics Code Authority in a really clever way. You know, this is how I think constraints make a better story. This hint of how bad this really is, without specifically say, to me, that makes it Lovecraftian horror quality. You know what I mean? Like, it's as a kid, you didn't really pick up on it, but you knew. And then the darkness, you know, we got this chick over here. You know, if this is a saloon, we got this girl over here waiting. You know, what's going on. They're ordering food. He's ordering drinks, checking out the chicks. I decided to let my unknown foe make his next move. The girl's just checking him out. If he would come to me, I didn't have to wait long. And then this big fat tub of lard comes out with a girl. This girl looks ashamed. This girl looks nervous. It's great. I mean, this kind of stuff scares the crap out of me. This is the kind of stuff that I was going for in my story. The suit. Maybe I was too obvious, too on the nose. But, you know, Lucius Kane is a bad person. You know, he's kind of a happy-go-lucky in issue 1 of Heroic Tales. But the more you're going to learn about him, the more you're going to hope that the patriarch just throws him down a hole and you never, ever see him again. But look at this. Look at this subtlety. They don't focus on any of it. So what's going on now? This is Gandalf meeting the Balrog. If you read the book, Gandalf and the Balrog were having a psychic battle for minutes before we see him. Gandalf is trying to close the door. Balrog opens the door, and that nearly kills Gandalf. So by the time Gandalf physically sees the Balrog, he's pretty much defeated. You know, it's really, really, that's what's going on right now. He's already fighting, but he doesn't know who or where. He just knows that this psychic battle, and then he reveals himself. Big fat blob. Look at this. These 2 pages are just masterful. Masterful. Nothing. What do we have? Again, I just thought of this. I was about to turn the page, but I just thought of this. This is nothing. Well, this page is, you know, getting his stuff back. But this whole page is a guy going into a restaurant, sitting down and ordering coffee. Something that happens in every Marvel and DC comic right now. It's kind of a joke. So if you were to take the words out, this is one of the few instances where the words actually fill us into the details rather than the like. If we would just look at this, he goes in here and we know he's entering a brothel, you know, and we know that this is the pimp, but we don't. But it's telling us about the psychic battle that's going on. It's just so good. It's just so good. Wow, a lot of comments. That's a perfect analogy for Marvel's Phoenix, because the white hot room is the egg that Phoenix retreats into before being reborn. Okay, cool. Thank you. I don't know what the white hot room is. That must be new. Maybe Chewie didn't get a medal because he wasn't a commissioned officer. Didn't they make Han? What? They can make Han a commissioned officer, but they can't make Chewbacca a commissioned officer? You know what I mean? This is supposed to be an egalitarian rebellion movement, or is it just humans? I have a hot take. The X-Men have some of the best. That's not a hot take. I think that's objectively true. The X-Men do have some of the best villains of all time. Yeah, Ray totally stole the Millennium Falcon from Chewie. I know. She talk about that's what makes a character of Mary Sue is unearned, whatever. And that's what I'm trying to do with my Mary Sue. You're going to see that she's going to earn everything. But I'm trying to make her the anti-Mary Sue by being Mary Sue. Have I done it? Anybody read my comic? Do they understand what happened with the one person wrote me a long letter, got everything. He pretty much told me what's going to happen in issue 3, and he's absolutely right. And then a couple of people just didn't get what's going on at all. And when I explained it to them, they're like, that's not what happened. So I don't know. Hot take, the FX robot. I absolutely agree with you. I will go on record and say, in my opinion, the Fantastic Four have the greatest rogues gallery of all time, next to Spider-Man, then Batman. I never liked Farouk as a character. Yeah, they made him better when he became just like a spirit in a jar. But yeah, Farouk, it's a weird character, but I'm liking it now. Now I'm liking it. This issue was always, to me, the issue that I was like, I would skip over when I did the rereading because I didn't care. But now I'm really digging it. I guess it's more adult in the real word, not the porno meaning of the word. So I'm all caught up. Let's turn the page. So all the chicks are getting nervous. I love that he's so fat, disgusting that the girls are helping him sit down. I can't help but think of his voice. I'm a Farouk. I rule what you tourists like to call the thieves' quarter. Who are you, my friend? Stranger. I'm not going to keep talking like that, but that's how I picture this fat guy to talk. I bid you welcome, stranger. I own this establishment, which you would partake in any of its manifold delights. All but you have to do is ask. So, right on the nose, this is a brothel. This is a brothel. No, thank you. Your loss. I sense we are kindred spirits. You and I, join me, stranger. I will show you pleasure and power beyond your wildest. Okay, so now it's more on the nose. This is a sex creep. Sex creep. Now, he's a sex creep. So the White Queen, Sebastian Shaw, does that make me think that there's something wrong with Chris Claremont? No, I'm thinking like that is a legit problem in the world. I do believe that if you were what is guys learn guitar, kids in his basement learning guitar, and you ask them, what do you want to do? I want to be a rock star. Why? Money and chicks. You see a guy in the investment bank. Why? I want to get rich. I want to get chicks. Like this desire for chicks is a real desire. Back in my 20s, I wanted chicks. Now I want a good lasagna. In my late 50s. But so just think, if the average schmo had power, they would abuse it. And what's the most, they're going to abuse it in I'm only going to rob from the rich. No, they're going to get chicks. They're going to have an easy life. They're going to be decadent, disgusting. So I don't think Chris Claremont is a bad person because he made up sex creeps as his villains. I think he understands human nature. And that's, so of course people there's something wrong with you because you had that Lucius Kane story. It's no, I'm dealing with devils and evil beings. What do you think creeps do with power? That's the problem. That's the problem with human nature. You and I are mutants, telepaths. True, we have exceptional abilities, but we also have responsibility to use those abilities for the benefit of our fellow man. We are no kindred spirits. I'm Neil Farouk, and I swear I will not rest until you're brought to justice for your crimes. So now we have Xavier releasing his astral form, and then Farouk releasing his astral form. And I love this, that he's basically naked, but they don't draw the goodies on it because it's a family comic. But what I really like is how Farouk's mental image of himself is a hulking giant, not a fat, disgusting slob. It's a nice touch. I sense fear in you, stranger. Are you sure you haven't bitten off more than you could chew? Only a fool is without fear, a fool or a corpse. And then they're fighting. So here they are fighting in Doctor Strange land, Steve Ditko verse. Since I am the challenge party, I would trust you will not have no objections to the choosing the side of our duel. Most impressive, is it not? It is, but why bother? Is he really so powerful that he could waste psi energy on glorified special effects? So now we got Emil Farouk is showing off. He's altering Xavier's senses so that this is where they think that they're fighting in Steve Ditko. It's kind of cool. So this is just two wizards fighting, right? This is a wizard battle right here. Two mental wizards engaging in psychic warfare. I think it's fun. I think it's fun. In this comic a bit, but later I think they exposed a lot. Yeah. This is his first appearance, so this is pretty menacing, if you ask me. This is a scary villain and a scary threat. I don't know about you, but I find this almost horror. Did I like the Legion TV series? I never watched it. Is it any good? Is it any good? We have a sex creep in the media, something to do with files. Wink, wink. John, do you have the X-Men issues after Kirby drew them from the 60s? Will you put those on Sunday Comics? If you want. Yeah, I'm missing X-Men number 2 and I think number 5. And that's it. I have all the X-Men. I have almost a complete run of X-Men. But yeah, I have them all. Like, if you have specific issues, I don't want to do all the X-Men, and I don't want to make this just the X-Men channel. I'm kind of just doing the Claremont Bird run, and every once in a while I'll do another comic, something that pops up. Xavier's pretty jacked. In his defense, this is him in his youth, right out of the army. So he is pretty jacked. Let's go to the next page. And again, chime in. Wow, we got like over 50 people watching. Let me know in the comments if this is the first time you've ever seen this comic. Like, I take it for granted that everybody knows these classic X-Men comics, but I forget that if this is your first time seeing this, let me know. We got Jaws 2. We got Grit. And I love looking at the names. A little hint. Sometimes I steal the names of secret identities or secondary characters from letters pages. I find a name that I like, I write it down. Otherwise, you come up with, Tom Collins, Frank Smith, so I steal names from letters columns. Susan Kazar, Brenda Robnett. So that's 2 women so far. Joel Cochin, the Evil Mutants Fan Club, and Alex Dent. Pretty interesting. Now, I'm not stupid. I know that they probably got 100 letters, 6 of them by women, so they took 2 letters from women, and then, you know what I mean? I'm not dumb. I know they're artificially inflating how many, because Marvel always, they want to get more women involved. Oh, this Oscar says, I love it. A little philosophical of moments, but very good. Farouk is the main villain. Yes. Oh, by the way, Arkham wants to talk to you about lettering, about coloring. He wants coloring advice. This is my first time with this X-Men run. Could never afford it. Yeah, it's collected in trade paperbacks, but something about the coloring. I don't know if it's the paper or if they recolor them. It just looks weird. Now, I've read this and owned it at one time. I want to own it again, to be honest. Yeah, this is the first. This was one of my least favorite comics, but now I'm liking it a lot more. I literally haven't looked at this in like over 20 years. Oh, I'm skipping too many pages. We got a Spider-Man ad for pizzazz, and we got the Crossman, the air rifle. it's a BB gun. I can't look at any BB gun now without saying you'll shoot your eye out, kid. You know what I mean? It's just part of American culture. Wait a minute. Xavier's walking. At what point did he lose his legs? He didn't lose his legs yet. This is him right out of the army. He loses his legs. I don't know if they changed continuity, but in X-Men Annual #1, he fights a space alien called Lucifer, and Lucifer throws a rock on him, and that's how he loses his legs. And then he immediately starts to form the X-Men after that. So this is him still as a young man. 58 Underground. Enjoy you visiting these older X-Men comics. I love your insight. I was more of a DC guy, so I missed this back in the day. Yeah, I'm thinking I might, when I'm done with the Byrne run, I might do the Legion of Superheroes, the Giffen run. Sure, tell him to DM you. Okay, I will. Okay. Whoop. So now we got these two mental titans. You know, I hate when they say the astral plane, but that's what they call it. So that's what they got. So they're fighting on the astral plane. The astral plane. Astral basically means stars. So the astral plane, like it in classical sense, like Plato and stuff like that, basically meant outer space. They didn't understand it, so they called it the astral plane. And then it changed over. So, and then of course D&D formulated my thoughts. So the astral plane in my comics is basically outside of creation. Creation being the material universes. And yes, there's more than one universe. It's a comic book after all. You got to have alternate universes, but it's not Patriarch from planet B, Patriarch from planet A. You know what I mean? No, you'll see. Matter of fact, I wrote one multiverse story already. Chuck Dixon is checking it out. And as soon as I finish this Christmas story, I'm writing my second multiverse story today, and you'll see how they work. Don't despair. Each universe is totally unique. They might as well be planets, you know, with different cultures, histories, and yes, even laws of physics. But so just if all the universe is this, the astral plane would be everything. So all of the material universes in my comic books would be, say, an island, and the astral plane would be the unexplored to us beyond the island. The ethereal plane is the exact center. You know, I can't elaborate that without being accused of ripping off Stranger Things. But there we go. And back to the comic. So this is our first. So okay. So he was specifically in the Korean War. He says it right here. So he's talking about being in the Korean War. He goes, so now what are they doing? These are psychic manifestations of their thoughts. So now they can alter them. These don't exist. So he's altering how he looks as like the samurai with the flaming weapon. So Xavier makes himself look like this, like almost like a Roman gladiator, later Byzantine gladiator in his armor, and they're going for battle. Now this is what he looked like in the X-Men Micronauts miniseries when he became the Entity. Remember, Xavier became bad guys many times. He was Onslaught, he was the Entity, then he was Onslaught again. You know, Xavier, when he's not turning into a mental bad guy, he's perving on young Jean Greys and then or using his mental powers to subtly manipulate people to get what he wants. Meanwhile, he just wants to be treated like everybody else. The X-Men deserve persecution. So now they're fighting. Of course, this is a Chris Claremont comic, so they're talking. And you know, I can flip from level to level with the speed of thought. By the time you've countered one stratagem, I've gone to something else. He's right. My shields are holding, but the strain is incredible. Farouk is taunting me, mixing half-truths and falsehoods. Only I can't tell which is which. Shields may protect you from my frontal attack, but this is the domain of the mind, and only the natural laws are those of your imagination. So what does he mean? So the lightning bolt that he fires actually wiggles and moves because it's not a lightning bolt, it's an illusion, but it's real psychic power. So Anybody outside is watching them fight, and they can see that there's a burn showing up on Xavier's back. I call BS on that. That just means it's happening in reality, but it's not reality. It's psychic, so you shouldn't see that. That's just the way I would think. Like, to me, it should just be they're sitting there, and all of a sudden one of them collapsed dead. But what do I know? I'm just a jerk. You buy now. Did you play any of the Planescape? I'm trying to collect the modules, but they're expensive. That's D&D? No, when it came to D&D, I'm a rational, as much as I like to think of myself as a logical, rational, every once in a while I get irrational thoughts. D&D was basically, the more you strayed away from Tolkien, the less D&D it was, in my mind. I know I'm wrong. So I didn't get it. Like, I stopped buying. Well, I went up to the second edition, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons AD&D. That was the last. I never got anything third edition until I did. I bought a couple of Monster Compendium just because I like the art and I like to see the monsters. But I never played beyond second edition. But when they made this, what is it called? Spelljammers, the flying ships in space, I was like, nope, I'm out. And I never bought anything new. And I think the Planescape is after that. I think Planescape is 4th edition, if I'm correct. So I never played any of it. Now, man, we were playing a fantasy with my group, and then COVID happened and killed my group. We were literally 2 sessions away from my version of Spelljammers. I couldn't wait to have them flying fantasy ships through space. Now I think it's just pure imagination. But at the time as a kid, I just couldn't wrap my head around it, But long answer to a short question. No, I never played it, but I kind of like it. In my opinion, Thor has incredible rogues gallery, from gods to demons to everything in between. Some of my favorite Thor stories. Yeah, Thor. I'm not just because I didn't. I just said my top, but yeah, Thor has a great rogues gallery. It's funny because every time I say this, people get mad at me. But to me, Superman has the least impressive rogues gallery for the quality of the superhero. But let the hate flow. Yes, Spelljammers was kind of goofy, but I love Dark Sun and have most. It's funny that you said that, because I was just thinking today about Dark Sun. In my comic book, this Earth is the Goldilocks planet. It's right in the middle. Over here, the next reality over is a little bit more prone to magic because it's closer to chaos. And then we have one shift over here, magic. Then Earth is normal, and then over here it's one shift over. It's more prone to science. You can do magic, but it's extremely difficult. Now, you can do science over here, but it's difficult because the laws of physics aren't as easy to understand and predictable as they are over here. So over here, you got scientists. Instead of scientists, you have a lot of magicians. Over here, magic is rare, but there are magicians on my Earth. And over here, magicians are like almost extinct in science. Now, this is a fantasy world, like Tolkien-esque kind of stuff. This is Earth, it's superheroes, and over here it's a dark sun. It's harsh an environment, and it's stunted because of it's not like it's high science where it's a Kirby-esque celestials and rockets and stuff. No, it's kind of like Tatooine. There's pockets of cities with resources to build the science, but for the rest of it, it's Mad Max, and so you'll see that in one of my stories that's coming up. I hope I get to it. Hey, this is JP Farm, by the way. I'm not arguing anything. Yeah, I know you're not arguing. I just get geeky when I watch. Yeah, by all, keep it going. I love it. This is what I do. I know you're not arguing. I didn't think you were. Michael Hart. I wonder if you remember the black and white magazine Iron Fist story by Claremont, which was about a character called Firebird. I think it was in the Kung Fu magazine, Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. I'm probably not up to it. I'm up to issue 14 in reading Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. I wasn't allowed to get the Marvel magazines as a kid because they were on the upper shelf next to the Hustlers and Penthouses and stuff. So I never got them. So I limit myself because otherwise I'll spend all my money on back issues. So I'll get, like, depending on the price, up to 5 back issues of a series at a time. Here's an example. Okay, like last night I just read Eerie number 8, but these are kind of expensive. So every time I put in a back order, I put in another issue of Eerie, you know. So I'll read, and I usually put in an order for back orders once a month. So I'll read that once a month. But like, what am I reading over here? Miss Tree, I'll get 5 at a time. And then I read 5 issues, and then next month I'll get another 5 issues. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I could buy 1 to 200, and I'm broken. I'm not paying my mortgage, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, those are like $10 a piece. So I get 1 at a time, you know? And then when I get to like $100, I hit the button, order it. You know, I try not to get that many back issues. So I limit myself to like $100 just to justify the shipping. And once a month, I'll get a Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, the next one. So the next one that's coming, I think, is 15. I think I read up to 14. So the long answer to a short question is no, I did not read yet. I hope to read it soon. All right, let's turn the page. Wing safety and Whoppers. Eat your candy, but be safe on the bicycle. Be safe on the bicycle while you eat your candy, ladies and gentlemen. Get some Japanese money over here. Free $1 million. Because I always wonder about that. Like, what if some comic book philanthropist was just like, I'm going to give $1 million. There really was a big old bag with $1 million, and nobody got it because everybody thought it was a scam. You know? So, you know, I was like, try to give away $1 million. Nobody took it. So that's just one of the things that that kid, my imaginary comic book ed kid, he'll get the $1 million. He'll get Grit magazine and find it's got like the answers to the secrets of the universe in it. So Xavier's fighting. I'm losing, and I'll keep losing so long as I keep fighting on Farouk's terms. I've been treating this like another kind of physical fight, trying to match Farouk's skill and illusion. When all that truly matters is matching with raw power. For your body, death will be instantaneous, but within your mind, there will be infinite, never-ending agony. So Farouk is turning monstrous. I didn't even try to stop him. I learned my concentration in. I turned my concentration inwards, calming myself, clearing my brain of all unessential thoughts. For I've been at war for 3 years. I've just begun to discover the joys of life. So he was in the Korean War. I didn't want to die. Farouk changed the forms like a chameleon, each more horrible than the one before. I ignored them as all. I focused my mutant power into a beam of incredible strength, and I shot it into Farouk's brain like a laser. It was over in an instant. There was a single burst of light like a supernova. So what happened? Farouk has been using his powers in a flashy way to intimidate and cause fear and doubt in Xavier. Xavier's reacting. He's just reacting. You know, Xavier, at this point, is a man. He's heartbroken. He's traveling. He's alone. It's the first time he's meeting another mutant with powers like himself. Now, he just met Storm and realized she was a mutant, but he didn't know what type of mutant she was. So he's like, you know, he's rookie. He's first level, second level, third level. You know, he's not the high-ranking guy that he is. You know, I'd say like Xavier's like 15th level by the time he forms the X-Men kind of thing. You know, so what does he do? He changes the game. He just focuses. I'm not being distracted by all these flashy displays of power. He calms down, focuses, and then just goes for an offensive attack, which Farouk didn't expect because Farouk was the offensive one, keeping Xavier on defense, and it took him by surprise. The battle was over, and I won. Farouk just collapses and leaves. As I left, I remembered Farouk's last words. The physical death would be the instantaneous, but in the mind, it would take forever, infinite, never-ending agony. He meant that end for me, only to have him claim him instead. I was in his mind when he died. It was like a guided tour of hell. Amal Farouk was the first evil mutant I ever met, the first who made me realize how truly deadly mutant powers could be in the wrong hands. This is excellent. I love this. I'm really liking this now. I didn't like it when I read it as a kid because it was a guy sitting in a coffee shop, big deal. But this is really good. Soda Jerk. I do write He-Man fanfic and base the universe around magic as well as Gnosticism, which might have still forming. Soda Jerk, stick around. Sometime in the future, I have a Gnostic superhero, and based on the principles of Gnosticism. So I actually have a whole comic coming out based on the principles of Gnosticism. I'm kind of fascinated with it. I can't tell more than that. Unfortunately, if I try to make him read a comic, I get disturbed kids. So, John, you are providing an important service. Oh, okay. If I try to take time to read a comic, I read that wrong. Some great panel work, too. Yes, absolutely. This page is just awesome. This page is just awesome. Now we got bulletins. Again, this is just in-house news. And then this is the words of Stan Lee. And Stan Lee did these bulletin bulletins for like 30 years. And every once in a while, somebody from Modern Marvel will pick and choose the one that happens to bolster up what they believe at the time, ignoring all the other ones that contradict what they believe at the time, and say, see, Stan Lee was a social justice warrior too. And then we got Captain Marvel, one of my favorites. Unfortunately, he's trying to sell me disgusting, horrible fruit pies. I'll never forgive you, Marvel. That's why you're a dirty alien. You're a dirty alien. All right, I could go to the next page. You can really see the Neil Adams influence on this page, can't you? And whoever said Bird didn't do a lot of backgrounds, this is Bird catching up right now. The first panel, this is like a little trick. The first panel, it's got two people. He's got the background, so we know that we're in this little den. It was in there I found my life's work to bring mankind and its mutant children together in peace and harmony and to protect humanity from creatures like Farouk. From Cairo, I moved east across India to Tibet. I fought the alien Lucifer and lost the use of my legs. So there you go. There you go. That brings us up to speed. Eventually, I came home and formed the X-Men, the old team and the new one, and they became my family. I love them so much. This is kind of cool. So again, now I'm liking this so much more as an adult. It's hitting me differently as an adult. Maybe, we went through my heartbreaks and things like that too. When I read this, I was still just a kid. Okay, he's going to a bar, fighting this creep. But I see this now. So he was heartbroken. He loved Myra. She dumped him, didn't tell him why in a letter, in a Dear John letter. He was out in Korea. Comes back. We know why. She got pregnant with and she's carrying Proteus in her little belly right now. And but that we find out later. So now he's just, what the hell? I was at war. I was planning, he had near-death experiences at war. He was, the only thing that was keeping him going was he was going to come home, marry Myra, have a whole bunch of little bald Scottish babies, and and his whole world is thrown out the window. He doesn't know what to do. He's lost. He travels, and now he gets a focus again. There's evil mutants in this world. Call it naivety. He just figured if people get powers, they're going to be good. Now he's realizing, no, people are going to be evil. So now he knows what to do. I'm really digging this now. This went from one of my least favorite comics. I'm not going to say my favorite, but it's pretty cool. The only weird thing is he's telling all this to a space alien. That's kind of funny, but that's the nature of comics. Charles, my love, hear me. Your children, your X-Men have grown and left you, or they are dead. You cannot start again. There is nothing for you here, my darling. I offer you my heart, my soul, my life, my empire. Come with me. Leave Earth? I can't. Why not? What's to keep you? I love you, Charles. I want you to be with you. I love you. Yes, I'll go with you wherever you may lead. So here he is. He's brokenhearted again. This is the second time his dream was taken from him. He's got nothing left to do. Might as well leave Earth. I don't know. I'm kind of liking it a lot better now. I guess now I got some mileage on the old engine. And what do we got? We got Jean Grey going to Tokyo. Well, that's a nice gal like you do in a place like Misty. You got it, Red. You're erstwhile Rumi in the flesh. I heard you were in the hospital. So check out Power Man Iron Fist number 53. Yeah, I went swimming in the Hudson, caught a nasty bug, but I'm okay. How are you? No complaints. Just grabbing a fast vacation. Want to get a cup of coffee? I wish. I'm late for my flight already. I've got to help Colleen out on a job in Tokyo. Write postcards, hon, and give my love to Scott. Be seeing you. So she doesn't know that Scott is dead. Barely a half hour later, Misty's flight is airborne, and the big 747 head towards the setting sun. As it fades from sight, Jean Grey suddenly finds herself shivering, and she realizes that within a start that for the first time since joining the X-Men, she's on her own with no one to turn to or depend on her except herself. And that scares her. So Jean Grey is now truly alone and isolated. Xavier's leaving. Her roommate is gone. Scott's gone. First time since she was 16, she doesn't have a support group. I don't know. This has hit me different as an adult. This has hit me real different as an adult. And I like this little cameo. Misty Knight. I love the continuity. She got thrown into the Hudson River in Power Man Iron Fist 3. I don't remember that specifically, but I'll take their word on it. And that put her in the hospital. That's just great New York lore. Don't go swimming in the water. You'll go to the hospital. Like there's the Gowanus Canal in Brooklyn. It's supposed to be so polluted that it's a death sentence to go in that water. So you better believe at some point, well, in my role-playing game, I had a water elemental named Gowanus. That was just this poisoned water elemental. I would love to bring that into the comic books. Maybe if I could get to issue 20, but there you go. I love this. I love this little cameo. And again, no background. We don't need them. We get the establishing shot that we're in the airport, and then no background. We got this little artistic circular thing, and we don't miss it. So this is, Byrne catching up. It's a cheat, and it ain't a cheat if it works. So I don't, that's one of the things we talk about the crowdfunded comics is you make your comic panels too busy sometimes. You don't need to fill every panel, every square inch. It's okay to do a little filler. You don't need to draw every leaf and blade of grass in the background. An establishing shot, some creative use of colors, swap up where the characters are standing, and there you go. Boom. Print that comic. It doesn't take 5 years. Soda Jerk. I listen to a lot of esoteric Gnostic videos from Atlantis to fairies. It helps. Yeah, me too. I got interested. I was doing research on Arius for because St. Nicholas punches him at the Council of Nicaea for my Santa Claus comic. And from him, I started reading up on Gnosticism, and I got all of these ideas of supervillains from all of this. Yeah, I really, really like using like esoteric themes for how the whole point of my Magi is esoteric themes and stuff. I hope I can get to it. This is a hidden gem of an issue, yet it's still a filler issue. Yes. Before the X-Men reprint days, so who's the longest run of X-Men on the book? Well, Claremont, hands down, was the longest writer, like 20 years. Byrne, 10 years. Neil Adams, I think, was only a couple of years. But I think Roy Thomas wrote it for a while. But yeah, I'll say that the longest run was Byrne, Claremont. Remember that the first 10 issues or so were bi-monthly. Hey, Matthew, how you doing? How's everything? How's it going? And that's the issue. We got Toy Soldiers. You saw the Innsmouth ad in Heroic Tales 2 is based on this ad. Full color poster set. This would be funny to do a poster set. How to make it funny. And then we got Legos. Here we got Legos. And we're done. Almost 2 hours, an hour and 40 minutes. At this point, I do my standard disclaimer. I'll keep talking as long as the chat keeps moving. For Uncanny X-Men, JR did 43 issues. Byrne only did 32 issues. Cockrum, Sylvester 31, Jim Lee 50. Okay, there you go. Staying corrected. I didn't realize JR did that many issues. But also they were bi-weekly, right? So I think Byrne did it chronologically the longest. Because remember, it was bi-monthly for a long time. Correct me if I'm wrong. But JR did more issues, but not longest as far as time-wise. I don't know. Why have the X-Men brought back the Living Monolith? He was a cool villain. I like the Living Monolith. And Matthew's okay. Good. That's good. So at this point, I got literally nothing planned this week. New Year's, Wednesday is New Year's Eve, so I don't know if RJ and I will do the comic book team up. I will if he will. But I got nothing planned. I think I'm going to be on MSK's channel tomorrow night. It's either tomorrow or Tuesday. And then Friday nights, it's clobbering time. It's just going to be like, we'll just do a retrospective of your favorite comic of the year. Comic that you read. So even if it's a 30-year-old comic, if you read it last year, we'll talk about it. And that's all I got planned. So I only have 2 confirmed streams, but I will do a comics. I got this big stack of comics, so I will do a comics, maybe Tuesday night, maybe Thursday night. I don't know, but that's channel news. The next thing is I got the silent auction going. I'll announce the winner on Sunday, and what is that for? It's for the only known copy of Heroic Tales autographed by everybody. There's Oscar's signature right there. There's Brian Bow, Renzo, Daniel, Matt Bauer, Bill Williams, the letterer, mine, Ron Mosicki, and Fabrizio Aiello. So everybody who involved in the comic autographed it. This is literally the only one. Cost me $100 to ship it around South America, Mexico, Texas, and all the other places. So I got one for me, and I got one to sell. I was just hoping to make up for the postage. So minimum bid was $100, and it's well exceeded that. If anybody's interested, I'm not going to say who's winning, and I'm not going to say for how much because it's a silent auction, and I'll announce the winner on New Year's. So there you go. It went bi-weekly during Sylvester's run. Made me mad because I couldn't afford it. I know. It was like a strain. I love all his runs. It said Marvel didn't make this kind of stuff. I know. What's going on, Marvel? And these guys are still viable. These guys are still available to work. They just don't want to pay them. Great art like Jim Lee, Madura, Pepe Larraz, but just a few great stories. Yes, you're absolutely right. X-Men never suffered from lack of art. Always had great art. To me, they suffered from lack of great writing. And I think this is like $100 good issues. Yes. I will say, yeah, you're right. From X-Men, from Giant Size X-Men 1, yeah, more than 100 great issues in a row. You're absolutely right. Now I got it. Yeah. What's your take on the character Longshot? I like him. I like him a lot. I think that the character has a lot of potential. There was a proposed storyline with Longshot and Phoenix Pat, but it got canceled for some reason. I didn't know about that. But I like the character of Longshot. I like the idea of I don't like Murder World and Mojo World, stuff like that. I just didn't like it, but now I'm kind of liking it because it's not mutants are persecuted story. It's kind of a clever. I'm talking about Mojo World and all that. It's kind of a clever take on reality TV. I always say take anything, and you'll see comics doing it 20 years earlier. So comics was doing reality TV spoofs before reality TV was really a thing. Pretty clever. Makes me like it more now. But so he comes over here. But I really like his powers. He's super lucky, provided he's doing the right thing. I think that is such a cool idea, and they never really gave him the stories that coolness demanded. So he has potential. He's a great character, but they never really did anything great with him. They did okay stuff with him. They just made him another random X-Men. But he could have been a superstar. Longshot was my favorite X-Men, but they replaced him with Gambit. Yeah, Gambit and Longshot. Well, Gambit to me should have luck powers. His name is Gambit, gambling, but he has kinetic powers. Like, I just don't like him because of the disconnect between his name and his powers. Yeah, I know he uses cards, but he could use anything. He could throw bricks at you. He could kinetically charge his fists. You know, he doesn't necessarily use cards. I mean, he doesn't necessarily have to use cards. So I just don't like the character. Plus, it's one of the worst costume designs of all time. Bible study time. Got to go. See ya. Have fun. Longshot could see the past of it. Yes, that's right. I forgot about that. He does have that power. He has, what do they call it? Psychometry? That's right. I forgot about that power. Yeah, Longshot had to be pure at heart for his luck powers to work. I like that. I don't think so. It has been like a time of their own. I call it some issues with Claremont stories, and I think one of the worst scripts I ever read, full of nostalgia and back issues references. Okay. He worked. That's cool that you actually did some coloring for Claremont Comics. Nothing original or good anymore. Yeah, Chris, people jump down my throat when I say this, but John Byrne is the better writer. And my proof is this. Byrne was part of this. He did the Fantastic Four. He did Submariner. He did Next Men. He did She-Hulk. You know, and he did Alpha Flight was okay. What has Claremont done outside of the X-Men? He did the Black Dragon 6-issue miniseries, and that's it. You know, he went to the Fantastic Four. It was awful. You know, outside of the X-Men, what's he doing? What is he doing? And I think Claremont needs heavy editorial restraint. And without Jim Shooter pulling that chariot, you know, Claremont's the horse. Just wanted to. Shooter is steering the horse. So there you go. All right. Looks like the comments have stopped. So I'll see you guys. Thanks a lot. This is a lot of fun. If you can, back Heroic Tales. I'm going to start up another campaign for merchandise. And Eddie is doomed. Eddie is doomed is chugging along, but my most pressing concern is Patriarch #1. I think Renzo is. I know Oscar. He just sent you another page, so I can't wait. I can't wait. This is so good. What I'm trying to do is get better with every issue. So let me know if I'm succeeding. That is my goal. When I wrote issue #1 of Heroic Tales, I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. Then I was embarrassed by it. Now I like it. Heroic Tales 2, I'm real proud of it. I'm starting to see some of the flaws, you know, now that there's some distance on it. But I got to admit, I think it's better than issue #1. Patriarch #1, I'm at the point where I think it's the greatest thing in the world. You know, well, you know, there's a full circle arc. We'll see. So just let me know, guys. It's hard to plot progress with only 2 comics. You know, let me know at the end of 3 comics. Am I getting better? That is my goal, to improve, constantly improve. The only person I'm competing with is myself. You know, I'm not joking. I'm not joking. I want Tonic Balls. I want Saving the World to be great. It's a great comic. I want everybody to read it. I can't wait for the next issue. I want Wolf and Batsy. I want Brian Bow to go home and sit on a pallet full of money like in Breaking Bad, because that is such a good comic. I want everybody to read Horace H. Hoover. You know, it's not a threat to me. It's not a threat to me. You know, and if in some small way I'm part of Wolf and Batsy by constantly promoting it and talking, then that is my own reward. Tonic Mole sent me a digital file of one of his comics, And I sent it to Fantagraphics. I sent it to Mark Miller. I sent it to anybody. I was like, you guys need to see this. And then, Tonic Bull was like, Mark Miller. I was like, yeah, why not? He started working with Per Berg Narwhal. You know what I mean? He's always on the lookout for new artists. Could you imagine? Now, I'm not saying it's happening. He hasn't even acknowledged that he read it yet or ever. But that's the way I'm thinking. I want my friends to succeed. It's not a threat to me. So I don't understand this jelliness, or this peanut butterness. I don't understand this jealousy that I see with some creators. We all know what I'm talking about, backstabbing and what. I want Rini to be in charge of comic books. Fiendish is a great comic, and if I had a tiny little hand in that, that's its own reward. It doesn't take. The way I look at things is, if you didn't take it from me, then no harm, no foul. My friends becoming successful comic book people, millionaires, bazillionaires, they didn't steal from me, unless they steal from me. And Brian Bowles Patriarch comic is $1 billion. You know what I mean? But you know what I'm saying. Why be jealous? Why be jealous? It's fun. It's comic books. It's supposed to be fun. So let's see. You by now. Yes, Byrne is the consummate comic book creator. He can write, draw, create classic concept designs. He's on my yeah, absolutely. It's a shame that he's not doing. I mean, he's got that Elseworlds coming out, but he did it years ago, but it's finally coming out. But he's his own man. He's on his own terms, and I admire that. Byrne has his time as a writer in X-Men. Yeah. And people forget that he wrote the first 6 or 7 Hellboy comics. His Spider-Man and other projects are no good. Oh, you didn't like him on Spider-Man? I'm trying to remember. I know I got them, but I don't remember if I liked them or not. So I guess in that sense, you're absolutely right then, if I don't remember them. But I loved his Submariner. I loved his obviously his X-Men. I loved his She-Hulk. Even though he broke the fourth wall, I hate when characters break the fourth wall. Only the Watcher could break the fourth wall, and the Phantom Stranger. Anybody else breaking the fourth wall? No. Or the Big Brother could break the fourth wall. And who is Big Brother? He's the character from Eddie is Doomed. Eddie will blow their minds. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. And I wrote that script years ago, so now I'm wondering, but oh, that's right. He did the Chapter 1 reboot. Yeah, okay. So all right, so he has one misstep, and it wasn't that bad. It just wasn't up to par. I bet you it's because editorial. I'm going to give John Byrne the benefit of the doubt and say editorial probably mucked that up. But yeah, but John Byrne, to me, I'm not dismissing Claremont, but man, and I think that's probably why Claremont doesn't like talking about Byrne and vice versa. They probably fought too much. Planning on reading issue 2 of Heroic Tales today. I'm looking forward to it. Oh, thank you. Let me know what you think. And if you didn't like it, just let me know. Was it better than issue 1? That's all that's my biggest concern. Was it better? Were you confused? These are the things I want to know. Was it an improvement over issue 1? Were you confused at all? Did the storytelling make sense? Those are the big things for me. And like I said, I got one letter that predicted everything, and I don't know if that's good or bad. Am I that obvious, or is this, or did I drop the clues correctly? Because Chris was good on Miss Marvel and Iron Fist. That's right. He did draw. You're absolutely right. I don't remember him on Miss Marvel, but yes, he did write Miss Marvel, and I did like it. But he was excellent on Iron Fist, and he was excellent on Marvel Team Up. He wrote one of my favorite Marvel Team Up stories of all time. So there, I stand corrected. He did do stuff that was good outside of the X-Men. You're absolutely right. Thank you. I stand or sit corrected. So there you go. I really want. Oh, good. I didn't want to stop. I wanted to make it to 2 because we're at 155. Issue 2 is better. Honestly, I didn't care for the local official chastising the patriarch. Very unprofessional. Yeah, well, that's Lucius Kane. That's the same character from The Suit. He's a jerk, you know. He's a detestable human being. Wait till you see what this guy's up to. Yeah, he is arrogant. He thinks he's the mayor of Science City, and he thinks everybody should jump when he jumps, and everybody does except for the patriarch. You know, so and the patriarch is uncorruptible, and that's dangerous to a corrupt politician. Yeah, yeah, you didn't care for well that you weren't supposed to, so I guess I did my job then. So there you go. Going once. Bueller. Okay. So check out my. I'm hoping that my next campaign active will be a merchandise campaign, and then shortly after that will be Patriarch #1. And those will be my 2 active campaigns. I know on Fund My Comic, you're only allowed to have 2 open campaigns, but Heroic Tales 2 is fulfilled, so that's not going to count anymore. And I was going to close that as soon as I open up the merchandise campaign, but I bought an ad in Alterna. It's going to be in King Cryptid #13. And once if I get the merchandise campaign active and going before Pizza Medi goes to print, I'll see if Pizza Medi could swap out the information so that the ad will go to the merch. And if he can't, then I got to keep. It would be stupid to have an ad to a dead campaign. So there you go. The Patriarch is immune to Suit's power. No. The Suit's power only works on the Suit. So the Suit, for those of you who read Heroic Tales 1, Lucius Kane found the Suit in a thrift store, and it's basically a possessed suit by the devil, and it gives him powers. What it does is it takes care of all of his physical needs. So he literally doesn't have to eat. He doesn't even have to sleep. He doesn't have to shower. He doesn't have to go to the bathroom. The suit provides all of that. And it also, whatever he needs is in its pocket. So, if he's walking down the street and he realizes he forgot his car keys, he can put his hands in his pocket and there's his car keys. That's a very easy way. But sometimes, like if you read the story, there was a Polaroid picture in that suit pocket. The suit provided what he needed to get that job. So that's what it does. The devil gives him what he needs. It also, because it's inspired by a role-playing game, it gives him various powers like adaptation, willpower, life support. So he almost is invulnerable while wearing that suit. I mean, a punch in the face is still going to hurt him. A bullet, but if he was to get shot while wearing that suit, he wouldn't bleed out. He would get shot. He would take that damage, and then he can't get knocked out while wearing that suit because he has willpower. He could override, so he'll stay conscious. You know what I mean? So he's like, no, don't take me to a hospital. Don't take me to a hospital. The suit will clean the wound, and the suit will heal him over time. Things like that. It also increases his charisma. So Iron Man wears the Iron Man suit. It increases his strength, and then he punches people. Now, nobody's immune to Iron Man's punches, so the suit wears that. Lucius Kane wears that suit. Increases his natural charm. Is the Patriarch immune to it? I don't care how well you are. Sooner or later, a charming person gets to you. So that's. And plus, the Patriarch is a good guy. He's not going to go beat up the mayor until he can prove. The suit has the whole town working for him. So if the Patriarch just comes in and strangles out Lucius Kane, he's going to get arrested. The the powers that be. So it's like Lex Luthor. Superman knows Lex Luthor's a bad guy. He just can't come in and beat him up. He's got to make a case, and it's real tough because he's Lucius Kane has basically the devil as a sponsor. He has all the information he needs. He's physically and mentally like resolute. Like you can't mind control him. You can't read his thoughts. He's like opaque to telepathic powers. That if you read the Villains Vigilantes, it'll explain exactly what these powers do. And someday I would like to do a full-on module for Villains Vigilantes or supplement, and you'll see written out his actual stats, what the powers can actually do. Like the suit gives him the power to adapt. So he's basically immune to energy. He's immune to mental attacks, and he has no physical needs. But he's also addicted to the suit. He'll never take it off. If for some reason he was overpowered and defeated and stripped of his suit, he would freak out. And then the last secret power is he can burn his humanity and make a miracle happen. He's reluctant to do that because it's inspired by Spawn. If his humanity goes to zero, that's it. He's a slave. He's going right to hell, kind of thing. So, I was going to get his card, but it's all the way over there. But there you go. So he's not immune. He's not immune. Patriarch only has telekinesis. He has the power of flight. He has telekinesis, and that teleconsciousness, as I called it. He can remove all 5 of his senses, almost like an astral form, and fly. I was going to call it astral form just to make it easy, but it's a little different than astral. Like in the role playing game Astral Form, you can actually go to other dimensions because you're freed from this. He can't do that. So it's like a limited astral form. But I could talk about this nerd stuff all day long. I'm trying to see, do I have a card within reach? I think. I'm sure. Little spoiler alert there. Molly will be making a big return. I think maybe Patriarch number 3. Boss Boxy and Molly will return. Of course. Why do I not have any Lucius Kane cards here? But anyway, I'm rambling. I should just go. Nothing to see here. What are the odds? That there's none of them? That is so weird. Out of all the cards, that's the only one that's not here. I got to sort these cards. They all got mixed up. But anyway, nothing else to say. Looks like the chat is done. So it's time for me to say bye, kids.
Goodbye, kids.